the closing stanza of Ode on a Grecian Urn, the puzzling, that image, thou silent form, to tease us out of thought as death eternity. We saw him earlier standing on the shore, thinking about the vastness of the ocean and sinking to nothingness. Here we've got that same kind of thought that here, this cold pastoral, it's got all these warm living images, but it's cold. And in many ways, it's a pastoral, it's a sort of romance, it's of ancient times, and yet at the same time, it's a cold one. It's maybe all too real, as opposed to romanticized. But that image there, after I'm dead, after this generation's gone, this urn's going to remain. It will still be there. And he calls it somehow a friend to man. Perhaps in its art, in its beauty, in its thought. And that the urn says to man, beauty is truth, truth, beauty. Do we agree with that? I've heard of the ugly truth. Or is there a truth? Is the truth beautiful? Is beauty necessarily true? Or the opposite? How far we agree with the statement. And as you notice from your footnote, whether it's just that part or the whole last two lines that are supposed to be in quotation marks that the urn is saying. And it's also there, that is all ye know on earth. Is it all people know? Is it all this urn knows? And the poet thinks that's kind of silly. Is the urn saying that's all people know and that's all they need to know? Or is that true of the urn and its figures, that that's all they know? But this beauty is truth, truth, beauty, is that the claim of the art? Quite what we're to do with those last two lines, how they're to tease us out of thought, how true we're to think that final statement is, has been much debated critically. Something to consider, though. Notice this is about a Grecian urn. It's got these gorgeous pictures on the outside that speak of somehow permanence in a world that's anything but permanent. It's an urn, too. What are urns filled with? Dead men's ashes. Oh dear. So how can we claim any kind of permanence? Or is the art somehow permanent, whereas the human who created the art, even created the urn, is himself dead and gone and buried? Can humans? We'd love to, perhaps, but is there any sort of permanence in an impermanent world? And tied to that, what kind of truth or what kind of beauty lies within that? Something to tease us out of thought, and I hope you'll enjoy thinking about. Let's go to the last of Keats' odes here, the one on melancholy. Melancholy. Here's an ode to depression, if you will. That kind of sweet sadness, that odd enjoyment of something that makes us miserable. Keats here, notice, explores, let's say you want to be sad. Let's say you want to feel that kind of depression, or this sort of, ooh, it's so sad, and yet somehow I'm attracted to it and I want to stay in it kind of emotion. Keats says, don't go to Lethe. Don't go down to hell, to the river of forgetfulness. Don't go, or even in that stanza that he X'd out, you wouldn't find it if you headed out in a boat made of dead men's bones, or drank a whole bunch of poison. That's not going to get you there. Don't go to Lethe. That image there at line 9, if you try to be sad, If you try to go down to hell or to somewhere really dark or to the darkest of places, he says that's not going to get you to the melancholy. Shade to shade will come too drowsily. That's too sad. If you really want to feel depressed, he says, you really want that sad feeling, line 15, go look at a morning rose. Go glut yourself. Glut your sorrow. Go be sad by staring at this morning rose. Because by golly, it's going to fade away and die awfully soon, isn't it? But oh, how beautiful it is with that morning freshness. Or the image there, or go look at a rainbow over there, the salt sand wave. Go look at a rainbow over water, at a waterfall. Go to Cumberland Falls and stare at that. Because after all, that rainbow's going to fade awfully quickly. Beautiful right now, but it's not going to last. Or if thy mistress, or go look at some peonies for the same reason. Or if your mistress, go when your girl's mad, some rich anger, you just go hold her hand and look at her eyes, because by golly, she's not going to forever be that gorgeous. You want to feel sad, go look at beautiful, gorgeous scenes like that. Because stanza 3, he argues, the spot where sadness dwells, true melancholy, the place where that kind of depression lives, that it lives with beauty. Beauty that must die, beauty that doesn't last, things that fade. That's where you find, so go look with beauty, or go head out, go find joy. Think about this for a minute. Is there anything more sweetly sad than a wedding? In some ways, is that not sadder than a funeral? Weddings. What about graduation? You all are coming close upon that. Is there not some sweet sadness to a graduation? How about a reunion? One of my sweet little aunts used to, I always wondered, do you even enjoy your son coming home? Because she'd always say, I call, oh, is Dennis home yet? And she'd say, well, he'll only be here 4 more days. That's that sadness of knowing it's gonna end, it's gonna be over. And they're at a wedding, oh yes, you're so, but it's an ending, and it's that pain that Keats says that's where to go look. Go look at that morning rose. Go find your gorgeous mistress who's angry at the moment. Look at her. Or go find beauty, the beauty that has to die. Joy, and there with joy, does joy ever stick around very long, or is he always got his hand up waving, see ya? That sense it's going to be over. Always saying, aching pleasure, pleasure's going to fade there to poison. It's not going to last. So, if you want to find melancholy, go to delight. Don't look for it in sad places. Don't go down to Lethe, the river of forgetfulness down in the underworld. Go look for it in the very temple of delight. Go to the most joyous place you know. And that's where he says melancholy veiled. Of course she wouldn't be out in the sunshine. But that's where her sovereign shrine, you want to worship melancholy, you want to feel her, you're going to find her in the temple of delight. But he also says nobody can feel that melancholy. Nobody truly knows that sad feeling except people who are discerning. That you've got to know how to feel real joy to separate out what the melancholy, the sad feeling is. They're tied to it. That image there, the one whose strenuous tongue can burst joy's grape. You gotta know what joy feels like. Again, and I gotta have a discerning palate. You gotta burst that grape of joy and there to taste the little bit of sadness that's mingled right in there when joy is at her best. And he says, when you do, hey, you're going to be one of those little trophies hanging there in the shrine. One of the worshipers, one of her, trophies hung up in her honor there in Melancholy's temple. Let's move now into the Victorian age with Elizabeth Barrett Browning's sonnets that were written to her husband, the poet Robert Browning. And notice here the sonnet cycle. Those of you who've had Britlit 1, you watch it in Britlit 1 go from being a Petrarchan, the untouchable woman and the poet who never gets the girl, to with Spenser that, okay, so the guy marries the girl. Or with Shakespeare, oh no, let's make them about unfaithful mistresses and beautiful young men, songs of friendship. Well, here Barrett Browning is taking that male tradition and turning it into, this is the female's love story. The title, Sonnets from the Portuguese, wants us to think that that's a translation, but actually it's written in English. It's her own poems to her husband Robert Browning, which she one day handed to him the scroll and ran out of the room after there's one of the great love stories of the 19th century. Robert Browning read her poetry. She was a famous poet before he was. He read her poetry, wrote her a letter and said, I love your poems and I love you too. And she was 39 years old, an invalid. They exchanged a series of letters. Her dad never wanted her to marry, but she escaped with Robert Browning, kind of one of those you escape out of the upstairs bedroom window on a ladder, and they ran away to Italy and had a wonderful life together. Let's look here at her sonnet 21. Say over again and yet once over again. Can you ever hear I love you too much? Here she's begging him, like the cuckoo that just says something. It doesn't matter. Just, like every spring that bird comes with the same song. That's fine. Just keep saying it. Keep saying that. Only there. You can't have too many stars. You can't have too many flowers. You can't have too many I love yous. Her only request there is only minding, dear, to love me also in silence with thy soul. Don't let it be just words. Be sure you love me too as you're saying it. But can never hear those words too much. Sonnet 22 there. When our two souls stand up erect and strong face to face. How wonderful the two of us together. There, that we are so close, and notice this is their souls. So close that they're, that our wings are breaking into fire at either point. What can the earth do to us? How can the world hurt us when we love each other and when our souls are so close to each other and so in love? How can the earth hurt? Is earth, who wants to go to heaven? Is earth not awfully nice here? Think, if we were in heaven, the angels would want to do something else to make it even, some kind of song and our silence is awfully good. Let's stay on earth. This is so good here that how can heaven be better? Let's stay here. Other people's less perfect moods just isolating our pure spirits. We're so different from them that accents us. And that image there, let's just love for a day. And it may be part of that wonderful part of it is that their darkness and the death hour, we're aware of that fact that the end is coming. But in contrast to that, how wonderful and eternal their love is. Sonnet 32. The first time, the first morning after you told me at night that you loved me, I wanted the